There is a temple in India where there is no idol, no statue, no murti, no carved image of the gods, just a crack in a rock, a natural fissure in ancient stone, shaped like a womb, constantly filled with water from an underground spring that has never dried up in recorded history. And this crack in a rock is considered one of the most sacred spots on the entire surface of the earth. More powerful than most temples with towering gopurams and golden idols. More charged with divine energy than places that took centuries to build. More visited by tantric masters, wandering sadhus, and desperate devotees than almost any other sacred site in India. This is Kamakhya, the goddess of desire, the wilder of all wishes, the most ancient and most mysterious of the 51 Shakti Peethas. And today, for the first time in plain English, we go inside. Welcome to Deep Made Easy. This is Secret Goddess Temples of India. First, where exactly is Kamakhya? She sits atop Neelachal Hill in Guwahati, Assam. The hill overlooks the mighty Brahmaputra River, one of the most powerful rivers on earth, flowing wide and dark below. The hill itself is sacred. It is divided into three parts: the Brahma Hill, the Shiva Hill, and the Vishnu Hill, symbolizing a divine trinity supporting the goddess's presence. She is at the top, above all three, supported by all three, but belonging to none of them. This is the nature of Kamakhya. She is older than the classical tradition. She predates the Sanskrit texts. She was worshipped by the tribal peoples of Assam, the Koch, the Rabha, the Garo, the Kirata, for thousands of years before the Brahminical tradition arrived and recognized what they had always known. Worship at Kamakhya temple is believed to be over 2000 years old, making her one of the most ancient, continuously worshipped sacred sites on earth. The present structure was rebuilt in 1565 CE by King Naranarayan of the Koch dynasty. But the worship itself goes back to the very beginning of recorded time in this region. The name Kamakhya means she who fulfills desires. Not one desire, not a specific category of blessings, all desires. Whatever a human being truly wants, at the deepest level of their being, Kamakhya is the goddess who can fulfill it. Now the story that explains why this particular hill, this particular crack in rock, became the most powerful Shakti Peetha on earth. You may have heard of the story of Sati, the first wife of Shiva, the daughter of King Daksha. Daksha organized a great yajna, a sacred fire ritual, and invited every god, every sage, every being of significance in the cosmos. Everyone except Shiva. The deliberate insult was clear to everyone. Sati insisted on attending despite Shiva's warning. She arrived at her father's ceremony and was publicly humiliated. Her husband mocked and dismissed in front of the entire assembly. Unable to bear the insult to the one she loved most, Sati stepped into the sacrificial fire and died. What happened to Shiva when he learnt this shook the universe. He arrived at Daksha's yajna, destroyed it, and then lifted Sati's body onto his shoulders and began to walk and walk and walk. Grief-stricken Shiv began his cosmic dance of destruction, Tandav, while carrying Sati's body. To restore balance, Lord Vishnu used his Sudarshan Chakra to dismember her body. The parts fell across the land, and each site became a sacred Shakti Peetha. 51 pieces, 51 sacred sites across the Indian subcontinent. At Kamakhya, it is believed that Sati's yoni, her womb and the seat of her creative power, fell, making it the most sacred of all 51 sites, because the womb is where creation begins, and Kamakhya is the goddess of creation itself. Now, what is inside the temple? What do you actually see when you descend into the sanctum? The garbhagriha is small, dark, and reached by a narrow, steep stone steps. Inside the cave, there is a sheet of stone that slopes downwards from both sides, meeting in a yoni-like depression some 10 inches deep. This hollow is constantly filled with water from an underground perennial spring. That is it. No idol, no statue, no carved face looking back at you. Just stone, water, darkness, and something that every single person who has descended those steps describes the same way. A presence so tangible, so overwhelming, so completely real that words fail. Tantric masters who have visited every major sacred site in India say Kamakhya is different, that the energy in that cave is unlike anything they have encountered anywhere else, that something happens to people in that darkness that cannot be explained. The stone is draped in red cloth, the color of blood, of life, of the divine feminine. Fresh flowers are offered. The water from the spring is distributed as prasad, sacred water from the womb of the universe. Think about what it means to receive prasad from this place. You are receiving water that has flowed through the womb of the goddess herself. Water from an underground spring that has not stopped flowing in 2000 years of documented history. Water that carries the energy of every prayer, every desperate plea, every act of devotion that has been offered at this spot since before written memory. This is why people travel from every corner of India to stand in that cave. Now, the most extraordinary and most misunderstood aspect of Kamakhya, the Ambubachi Mela. Every year in June, the Brahmaputra river runs red. Scientists will tell you this is due to red clay and minerals washing into the river during the monsoon. And that is the physical explanation. But the tradition says something different. The Ambubachi Mela is a unique festival that celebrates the annual menstrual cycle of the goddess Kamakhya. During this time, the temple remains closed for 3 days, making it a time of intense spiritual energy and respecting the cycle of creation. For 3 days, the most powerful temple in Assam closes completely. No worship, no ritual, no entry. The goddess is resting. And when the temple reopens on the 4th day, thousands of devotees gather to witness the divine phenomenon and seek blessings. The prasad distributed on this day, red cloth from the sanctum, is considered the most powerful sacred object in the entire Shakta tradition. People travel thousands of miles to receive it. Now understand what this festival is actually saying. In most religious traditions across the world, menstruation is considered impure, a reason to exclude women from sacred spaces, a source of shame. Kamakhya says the exact opposite. The most sacred event in the entire year at the most powerful temple in India is the celebration of the goddess's menstruation. Her natural cycle is not impure. It is the most sacred event of the year. This 2000-year-old tradition is perhaps the most powerful statement ever made in any religion about the sacredness of the feminine body. That the earth's fertility, the river's abundance, the very cycle of creation is not separate from the female body. It is the female body, expressed at a cosmic scale. Kamakhya does not just welcome women into her temple, she makes the experience of being a woman the central sacred mystery of her entire tradition. Now, the 10 Mahavidyas. The main temple is surrounded by a complex of individual temples dedicated to the 10 Mahavidyas of Shaktism: Kali, Tara, Tripur Sundari, Bhuvaneshwari, Bhairavi, Chinnamasta, Dhumavati, Baglamukhi, Matangi, and Kamlatmika. We have already explored Bhuvaneshwari, the 4th Mahavidya in our series. At Kamakhya, you can visit all 10 in one sacred complex. Temples for individual Mahavidyas together, as a group, as found in the complex, is rare and uncommon. This makes Kamakhya not just a temple, but a complete university of divine feminine wisdom. Every form of Shakti, every expression of the cosmic feminine, all in one sacred hilltop above the Brahmaputra. Tantric practitioners who come here spend days moving from temple to temple, working with each Mahavidya in sequence, in one of the most intensive spiritual practices available anywhere on earth. Now the question that every devotee asks, what does Kamakhya give? The Kalik Puran describes Kamakhya as the yielder of all desires, the young bride of Shiva, and the giver of sevention, all desires and sevention. These two things seem contradictory. Usually in spiritual traditions you are told, release your desires to find liberation. Kamakhya says, bring me your desires, all of them, the ones you are ashamed of, the ones you have never told anyone, the ones that burns inside you at 3 in the morning. Bring them here, into this darkness, into this cave, and place them before the womb of the universe. This is the tantric understanding of desire that Kamakhya embodies. Desire is not the enemy of liberation. Desire, fully understood, fully offered, fully surrendered to the goddess, becomes the very vehicle of liberation. The yogi who sits in the cave at Kamakhya is not suppressing desire. They are transmuting it, offering the raw energy of wanting itself back to its source. This is why Kamakhya has attracted the most serious tantric practitioners in India for 2000 years, because she works with the full human being, with all of what we are, not just the refined spiritual paths, but the raw, wanting, desiring, grieving, hungry paths too. She does not ask you to be pure before you come. She asks you to come exactly as you are. Now, how to connect with Kamakhya from wherever you are? If you can visit Guwahati, go to Nilachal Hill. Go early morning before the crowds. Descend the narrow steps into the cave. Sit in the darkness. Whatever you are carrying, offer it. Let the sound of the underground water fill you. Stay as long as you can. Go during Ambubachi Mela in June if possible, but know that hundreds of thousands of people will be there. Book accommodation months in advance. The energy during those days is described as overwhelming in the most sacred sense of the word. If you cannot visit, Kamakhya can be reached through her mantra. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamunde Viche. The Navarna mantra is her primary mantra. The same mantra that forms the heart of the Durga Saptashati that we explore in our other series. Her specific Kamakhya mantra is Om Kamakhya Varade Devi Nilachala Nivasini Tvam Devi Jagato Mata Yoni Mudre Namostute. O Kamakhya, giver of boons, goddess who dwells on Nilachal hill, you are the mother of the universe. I bow to you, the sacred seal of the womb. Chant this 108 times, in darkness if possible, with a single lamp burning, on a new moon night or during your own natural cycle if you are a woman. She does not require elaborate ritual. She requires honesty, sincerity, the willingness to bring your full self, not your spiritual self, your full self into her presence. I want to close with something that the Kamakhya tradition has always known and that the modern world is only beginning to understand. The most creative force in the universe is feminine, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Every act of creation, of life, of art, of civilization, of meaning, draws from the same source that Kamakhya represents. The generative, cyclic, embodied, powerful, occasionally terrifying, always inexhaustible creative force of the universe. The crack in that rock, the water that never stops, the red cloth, the closed doors during those 3 sacred days. All of it is saying the same thing. The source of everything is here, in the darkness, in the body, in the cycle, in the wanting and the creating and the releasing and the beginning again. That of Kamakhya. That is why people have been climbing that hill for 2000 years. And that is why they will never stop. Next in our Secret Goddess Temple series, we go deeper into the 10 Mahavidyas. Who are they? What does each one give? And why visiting all 10 at Kamakhya is considered the most powerful pilgrimage in the Shakta tradition. Subscribe, share this with one person in your life who needs to know that their desires are not a barrier to the divine. They are the doorway. And until next week, Jai Mata Di.